any measuring instrument, such as the graduated cylinders that are pictured here, is going to be marked off, and those markings are going to be some distance apart. So any given amount of liquid in this graduated cylinder, or any given measurement using these markings, may or may not fall exactly on a marking. And so we're always going to need to estimate how far between markings the liquid falls in this graduated cylinder, or the particular measurement we are making is. So in this case, this measurement falls between 2.6 and 2.7, and so I'm going to estimate how close to 2.6 it is and how far away from 2.7 it is. So it looks like it's a little bit more than halfway, and so I would say that the bottom of the curve of water here now is at 2.66 milliliters. You might estimate that slightly differently, but let's, for the sake of argument, say that that's the estimate that we're going to make. In this other graduated cylinder, the water is precisely, pretty much, exactly on 20 point, let's get this right. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 25, this is 21, 22, 23, 24. And so this marking is pretty much exactly on 24 milliliters, but so that I can signify that it's exactly 24 and not 24.1 or not 23.9, I'm going to say 24.0 milliliters. I need that 0.0 to tell you that it's exactly on the mark. And so if it were not exactly on the mark, then I would read this as 24.1 if it were a little above the mark, or 23.9 if it were a little bit below the mark. So I'm always going to have to add that extra digit that tells me how close to the mark it is. Okay, so this brings up this concept of significant figures. So in this case, this measurement has 1, 2, 3 significant figures, because I can estimate to the second decimal place, and so my measurement is 2.66. There are 3 digits in that measurement, so it has 3 significant figures. So this one has 3 sig figs. In addition, this measurement also has 3 significant figures, because there are 3 digits that I need to write down in order to tell you where that mark was. So again, this one also has 3 significant figures. So really the concept of significant figures is how many digits do I need to tell you exactly where the measurement falls on the scale, on the marking scale that I have in my measurement instrument. So in this course, we're really only going to care about significant figures when we're doing measurements in lab. And when you're doing measurements in lab, those measurements in your notebook need to have the right number of significant figures. We'll talk in another video about how we do math with significant figures, and how we decide if we're adding 2 numbers, how many significant figures to use, or if we're multiplying 2 numbers, how many significant figures to use. But the concept that you want to understand is that significant figures has to do with making a measurement. It's the number of digits that you need to write down and to tell someone else where you saw that measurement on the particular scale that you're looking at. The most confusing thing when students are first learning about significant figures, I think, is whether a 0 is significant or not. So sometimes zeros are just placeholders. If I have the number 0.0015, these zeros are just placeholders, because if I don't have them there, then I don't know where this decimal place is relative to the numbers. The actual measurement has to do with these 2 numbers, and these are the 2 significant digits in my number. So how do we figure out whether zeros are placeholders or whether they're significant? So the easiest way to do that is to first find the first non-zero digit in your number. So in this case, 0001 is my first non-zero digit. So 1 is my first non-zero digit. And then I'm going to count all digits, including zeros, past the first non-zero. And so that is the number of significant figures I have. So in this case, here's my first non-zero. There are 2 digits, 1, 2. That is going to be the number of significant figures that I have in this number. So there are 2 digits that follow after any zeros. And so that means that I have 2 sig figs in this number. So figuring out how many significant figures is pretty easy if you just think about this, these 2 steps. Find the first non-zero digit and then count all of the digits that are not, all the digits, including that one, for the rest of the number. So let's do another example. Let's say that we have 0.01026. So if this is my number and I want to know how many significant figures this has, I look for the first non-zero and then I count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this number has 4 sig figs.